The wind howled across the frozen wasteland like a living thing that wanted to kill everything it touched. Ice crystals flew through the air sharp enough to cut flesh. Nothing should have been alive on this moon. Nothing could survive temperatures this cold for long, but two massive shapes remained chained to pillars of ancient ice. Sareth felt the cold seeping deeper into his bones with each passing hour. His golden scales, once bright and warm, now looked dull and cracked. Frost covered the wounds along his side where the collective soldiers had shot him 3 weeks ago. The wounds refused to heal in this terrible cold. Blood had frozen in dark streaks down his body. 20 feet away, Valeric suffered just as badly. The larger dragon's red scales were covered in white frost. His wing hung at a wrong angle, shattered when the collective had thrown him from their ship. Deep gashes marked his flanks where chains had cut into his flesh. Every breath created small clouds of steam that froze instantly in the air. They had been enemies once. Their clans had fought over territory for generations. Sareth had grown up hearing stories about how brutal and savage the red dragons were. Valeric had been taught that golden dragons were weak and cowardly. But 3 weeks of dying together had changed everything. How much longer do you think we have? Valeric's voice was barely a whisper. Speaking took too much energy. Sareth tried to move his tail and felt the chains bite deeper. The collective had forged these chains from their own scales, stolen when they were first captured. Dragonfire could not melt them. Dragon strength could not break them. They were perfect prisons. Maybe hours, maybe less. Sareth looked at the dark sky. Thick clouds rolled in from the north. That storm will finish us. Valeric closed his eyes. I had a mate. 3 hatchlings. They are hiding in the deep caves on our homeworld. The collective wanted me to tell them where. I refused. I know. Sareth had heard Valeric screaming during the interrogations. He had heard the defiance in those screams. You were brave. Brave or foolish. Valeric coughed and blood spattered on the ice. They will never know what happened to me. They will wait and wonder. Sareth understood that pain. He had no mate, no hatchlings. His clan had exiled him 5 years ago for refusing to attack a human settlement. The elders said he was weak. They said humans were prey, nothing more. Sareth had seen something different. He had seen humans protecting their young, building homes, showing kindness to each other. He could not bring himself to kill them. I was cast out by my clan, Sareth said quietly. They said I dishonored them by showing mercy to humans. Valeric opened one eye. You refused to kill humans? Oh, yes. I killed many humans in battle. Valeric's voice carried shame. The collective told us they were monsters. They showed us images of destroyed dragon nests and said humans did it. We believed them. The collective lies about everything, Sareth said. They want all of us fighting each other while they take what they want from our worlds. The wind picked up. The temperature dropped even further. Sareth could feel his fire dying inside him. Dragons were born with an inner flame that kept them warm and gave them strength. His flame was now barely an ember. Soon it would go out completely. I wish I could have told my family the truth, Valeric said. I wish I could have told them I learned the collective was our real enemy. That we should have allied with other species against them instead of fighting each other. Perhaps someone will learn the truth someday, Sareth replied. Though he did not believe it. They would die here. Their bodies would freeze and eventually be buried under ice. No one would ever know what happened. The storm clouds moved closer. Lightning flashed inside them, purple and angry. This would be the storm that killed them. Sareth tried to feel afraid, but he was too tired and too cold. Death almost seemed peaceful. Then Valeric lifted his head slightly. Do you hear that? Sareth listened. Under the howl of the wind, there was another sound. A mechanical whine. Something was moving out there in the storm. Collective patrol? Sareth felt his heart sink. They would be captured again, tortured again. No. Too small. The sound is wrong. The whine grew louder, then stopped abruptly. They heard a crash, the screech of metal on ice. Silence followed. Then faintly they heard a new sound. Footsteps. Small footsteps crunching through snow. Through the blowing snow, a shape appeared. It was tiny compared to them, standing on 2 legs wrapped in thick clothing. The figure stumbled, almost fell, then kept moving toward them. Human, Valeric breathed. The human came closer. They could see it was a female, her face protected by a mask and goggles. She carried some kind of pack on her back. She looked up at them, and even through the goggles they could see her eyes go wide with shock. She stood there for a long moment, staring at two massive dragons chained and dying in the snow. Sareth waited for her to run. Humans feared dragons. Everyone knew that. She should flee while she still could. Instead, she moved closer. She walked right up to Sareth's chains and examined them. She pulled out a small device and pointed it at the locks. The device beeped and displayed information. "She is scanning the chains," Sareth said, confused. Why would she do that? The human moved to Valorix's chains and did the same thing. Then she looked back and forth between both dragons. She seemed to be thinking hard about something. Finally, she pressed a button on her collar. A voice came out, mechanical and translated. "Are you hurt?" Sareth and Valorix stared at each other in shock. A human was asking if they were hurt. A human was standing in deadly cold, looking at two of the most dangerous creatures in the galaxy. And her first question was about their well-being. "Yes," Sareth answered through his own translator. "We are dying." The human nodded slowly. She looked back the way she came, where her ship had crashed. Then she looked at the incoming storm. Then she looked at them again. She began walking back toward her crashed ship, and Sareth felt a strange disappointment. Of course she would leave. Why would a human help dragons? But then she returned, dragging something heavy through the snow. It was a large piece of equipment with a cutting laser attached. She positioned it near Valorix's chains and began adjusting settings. "What are you doing?" Valorix asked. The human's translated voice answered. "I am going to free you." "Why?" Sareth could not understand it. "We are enemies." The human paused and looked at him. Even through the mask and goggles, he could sense her determination. "No," she said simply. "You are alive and need help. That is enough." Lena's fingers were already going numb inside her gloves. The portable laser unit weighed almost as much as she did, and dragging it through the snow had taken the last of her strength. Her ship lay in pieces 300 yards behind her, smoking and broken. The crash had destroyed her main communication array and cracked her fuel cells. Emergency power would last maybe 12 hours if she was lucky. 12 hours to stay warm in negative 100-degree temperatures. 12 hours before she froze to death on this miserable moon. But when she had seen the two dragons chained to those ice pillars, all thoughts of her own survival had vanished. She activated the laser and began working on the first chain binding the red dragon. The metal glowed orange as the laser cut into it, but the progress was painfully slow. The chains were thick and made of some material she had never seen before. Her scanner said they contained biological compounds mixed with advanced alloys. "This will take hours," she muttered. The golden dragon spoke, his words translated by her collar device. "You should save yourself. Your ship has power. You could stay warm inside it until rescue comes." Lena did not stop working. "My ship is destroyed. The power will run out long before anyone finds me. I sent a distress signal, but this moon is in collective space. No one will come looking for me here." "Then you are dying too," the red dragon said. "Why waste your last hours trying to save us?" "Because I can try." Lena adjusted the laser angle. "Because maybe it will work. Because leaving you here to die when I could help feels wrong." The golden dragon made a sound like a sad laugh. "Humans are supposed to hate dragons. The collective says your kind fears us and wants us extinct. The collective says many things that are not true." The first chain finally split apart with a sharp crack. The red dragon's right foreleg came free. Lena moved to the second chain. "I am a xenobiologist. I study alien species. I came to this system looking for evidence that dragons were intelligent and peaceful. The collective claims you are mindless beasts that only know how to destroy. What made you think otherwise?" the red dragon asked. Lena paused and looked up at him. Even wounded and dying, he was magnificent. Scales like rubies, eyes that held intelligence and pain. "I found recordings from early contact missions, before the collective controlled the narrative. In those recordings, dragons spoke 17 languages. They shared art and music. They helped other species with medical knowledge. Then the collective arrived and everything changed. They wanted our worlds," the golden dragon said bitterly. "They wanted the minerals beneath our mountains and the crystals in our caves. When we refused to let them strip our planets bare, they declared us a threat." The second chain broke. The red dragon pulled his leg free and flexed his claws carefully. "I am Valorix. Thank you for freeing me, human. My name is Lena." She moved to the third chain. Her hands were shaking badly now. The cold was getting worse. "Can you fly once you are free?" "No, my wing is broken." Valorix tried to move the damaged wing and winced. "But I can walk." I can fight if needed. The golden one, Lena said. What is your name? Sareth. I have 3 chains as well. You will never be able to cut through all of them before the storm arrives. Lena looked at the dark clouds rolling toward them. He was right. The storm would be here in less than an hour. She was working as fast as she could, but her body was shutting down from the cold. Her teeth chattered so hard she bit her tongue. Blood filled her mouth. The 3rd chain split. Valerix was free except for 1 chain around his neck. Lena started on it immediately. Her vision was getting blurry. She had to stop twice to rest, leaning against the laser unit and trying to catch her breath. You are freezing, Valerix said. Stop, please. You have done enough. Not yet. Lena forced herself to continue. The neck chain was thicker than the others. The laser was overheating. She had to pause and let it cool down. While she waited, she leaned against Sareth's body. His scales were cold, but still warmer than the air. She felt a little heat radiating from deep inside him. You have dragon fire, she whispered. Barely. Sareth shifted slightly to block the wind from hitting her directly. It is almost gone. The laser cooled enough to use again. Lena went back to cutting. Her arms felt like dead weight. The chain around Valorix's neck finally broke. The big red dragon stood up for the first time in 3 weeks. He swayed but caught himself. Now Sareth, Lena said. She tried to drag the laser toward the golden dragon, but her legs gave out. She fell face first in the snow. Strong claws lifted her gently. Valerix carried her to Sareth's chains and set her down. She grabbed the laser and started cutting. The first of Sareth's chains was thinner. It broke quickly. Then the second. Her power readout showed 15% remaining. It is not enough, Sareth said. You will run out of power. Then I will find another way. Lena kept cutting. 14%. 13%. The chain glowed red. 12%. The wind hit her like a wall and she fell again. This time she could not get up. Hands grabbed her. No, not hands, claws, gentle despite their size. Valerix lifted her and held her against his chest. She felt warmth there. Not much, but enough to stop the shaking for a moment. Why are you doing this? He asked softly. You do not know us. We have done nothing for you. Humans and dragons have been at war. Lena looked up at him with frost on her eyelashes. 6 months ago, the collective attacked my research station. They killed everyone. My friends, my colleagues, 23 people. They killed them because we had proof that the collective was lying about dozens of species. The collective wants everyone fighting each other because divided we are easier to control. She coughed and tasted blood again. I escaped. I have been running ever since. I came to this moon because I detected chains made from biological material. I thought maybe the collective was holding prisoners. I was right. You came here to rescue prisoners? Sareth's voice was filled with wonder. That is why you crashed? I was shot down. Lena pushed herself up and grabbed the laser again. 10% power. But yes, I came to help. Now please be quiet and let me finish. The 3rd chain took forever. The laser kept overheating. Lena's hands were purple now. She could not feel her feet at all. 5% power. The chain was almost through. 4%. The metal began to separate. 3%. The chain broke. Lena moved to the final chain around Sareth's neck. She triggered the laser. The power readout blinked a warning. 2%. Not enough. She knew it was not enough, but she tried anyway. The laser died with 1% charge remaining. The neck chain was half cut but still holding. No. Lena hit the laser with her fist. No, no, no. You did your best, Sareth said gently. You freed most of me. I can move my legs and my arms. That is more than I had before. It is not enough. Tears froze on Lena's cheeks. You need to be completely free. If the collective comes back, you need to be able to run. Valerix knelt beside her. Lena, look at me. She looked up at him. You are dying, he said. We need to find shelter. All of us, I cannot walk anymore, it was true. Her legs would not work. Go without me. Take Sareth and go. No. Valerix scooped her up. Sareth, can you walk? The golden dragon stood slowly. The broken chain around his neck dragged on the ground, but he was mobile. Yes, barely. There is a cave formation 200 yards that way. Valerix pointed with his tail. I saw it when the collective first brought us here. If we can reach it, I can use what little fire I have left to warm it. We might survive the storm. You cannot carry me that far, Lena protested weakly. Your wounds. Watch me. Valerix began walking. Sareth followed, dragging his chain. The storm hit them with full force, snow so thick they could barely see. Wind that threatened to knock them over with every step. But they kept moving. A human and 2 dragons, all dying, all refusing to give up. Because sometimes the only choice left is to keep fighting even when hope is gone. Valerix had not used his fire in over a week. The cold and starvation had nearly extinguished his inner flame completely, but now, standing at the entrance to the small ice cave, he forced himself to breathe deeply and search for any remaining spark inside him. There, just barely, a tiny ember of warmth deep in his chest. He opened his mouth and exhaled. A thin stream of flame emerged, weak and flickering. It hit the cave wall and began to melt the ice. Water ran down in streams. He kept breathing fire until his legs shook with exhaustion. The cave was barely warm, but it was better than freezing outside. Sareth dragged himself inside, the broken chain scraping along the ground. He positioned himself near the entrance, using his bulk to block the worst of the wind. His golden scales were covered in ice now. He looked more like a statue than a living being. Valerix laid Lena gently on the warmest spot he could find. Her lips were blue. Her breathing was shallow. Frostbite had turned her fingers black at the tips. "She is not going to make it," Sareth said quietly. "No." Valerix curled himself around her, trying to share what little warmth his body still held. "Not without help." "What help?" "We have nothing. We are dying ourselves." Valerix looked down at the small human who had saved them. She had used her last chance at survival to free them from their chains. She had chosen their lives over her own. No one had ever done something like that for him before. Not even his own clan members. "There is one thing," he said slowly. "Dragon blood." Sareth's head snapped up. "You cannot be serious." "Dragon blood is poison to other species. It will kill her. It can heal. You know the old stories. In ancient times, before the wars, dragons shared blood with their bonded allies. It saved those who were dying. Those are just stories, legends." But Sareth's voice was uncertain. "And even if they are true, the pain is supposed to be unbearable. The collective uses dragon blood as a torture method. Most humans die from the shock before the healing can work." Valerix looked at Lena's face. She had given everything to help them. Could he do less for her? "It is her only chance," he said. "Without it, she dies in the next hour. With it, she might survive. And she might die screaming." Sareth moved closer. "Are you willing to risk that? Are you willing to cause her that much pain?" "No. But I am willing to give her the choice." Valerix gently shook Lena. "Wake up. Please wake up." Her eyes fluttered open. They were glassy and unfocused. "Cold," she whispered. "So cold. Lena, listen to me. You are dying from frostbite and hypothermia. I can help you, but it will hurt. It will hurt worse than anything you have ever felt. Do you understand?" She blinked slowly. "Help how?" "Dragon blood has healing properties. If you drink it, your body will repair itself. But the blood burns like liquid fire inside you. Most humans cannot survive the pain." Lena was quiet for a long moment. Valerix thought maybe she had passed out again. Then she spoke, her voice barely audible. "Do it, are you sure? You could die. Already dying." She coughed weakly. "Rather die trying." Valerix extended one claw and carefully cut his forearm. Dark red blood welled up. He lowered his arm to Lena's mouth. "Drink as much as you can." She sealed her lips around the wound and swallowed. Once, twice, 3 times. Then she began to scream. Her body arched backward. Every muscle locked rigid. The screaming went on and on, echoing through the cave. Valerix held her down as gently as he could while she thrashed. Tears streamed down his face as he watched her suffer. "Maybe we should stop," Sareth said, his voice shaking. "This is torture. The blood is already inside her. We cannot stop it now." Valerix kept holding Lena, trying to keep her from hurting herself as she convulsed. "All we can do is wait." The screaming lasted for 10 minutes that felt like hours. Then it began to fade to whimpers. Lena's body slowly relaxed. Her breathing deepened. The blue color faded from her lips. The black frostbite on her fingers began to lighten. Valerix watched in amazement as her body healed itself right before his eyes. The dragon blood was working. She was going to survive. Finally, Lena went still. She was unconscious but breathing normally. Her skin had color again. Her fingers were pink and healthy. "It worked," Sareth breathed. The old stories were true. Valerix slumped with relief. His own wounds throbbed. The effort of producing fire and giving blood had drained him completely. But Lena was alive. That was what mattered. Now we rest, he said. When she wakes, we will figure out what to do next. But Sareth was looking at him with a strange expression. Valerix, when a dragon shares blood with another being in a life or death moment, do you know what happens? Healing. That is what happens. Not just healing. A bond forms. A connection. Sareth's eyes were wide. You will be able to sense her emotions. Share her memories. And she will sense yours. Valerix stared at Lena's sleeping form. A blood bond. He had heard of such things but thought they were more legend than truth. Blood bonds were sacred. They were permanent. They meant your life was tied to another being forever. I did not know, he said quietly. I just wanted to save her. I know, but when she wakes, everything will be different. They settled in to wait. The storm raged outside, but the cave remained slightly warm. Hours passed. Valerix dozed fitfully, exhausted but unable to fully sleep. Sareth kept watch at the entrance, listening for any sounds of collective patrols. When Lena finally woke, it was sudden. She sat up, gasping, eyes wide. Then she froze, staring at Valerix. I can feel you, she whispered. Inside my head. Your emotions. Your thoughts. The blood bond, Valerix explained. I am sorry. I did not know it would happen. Lena closed her eyes. Her face went pale. Oh no. Oh no, what is wrong? I can see your memories. I can see everything. Her eyes opened and they were filled with tears. Your homeworld. Your mate, your children. I can see what the collective did to your people. She turned to look at Sareth. And I can feel your pain too, though not as strongly. The exile, the loneliness. She looked at her hands, flexing her fingers. They moved perfectly. No frostbite, no damage. You saved me. The blood healed me completely. Yes. Valerix felt her confusion and fear through the bond. Are you angry? No, just overwhelmed. She stood up slowly, testing her legs. They worked fine. How long was I unconscious? 4 hours. The storm is still raging outside. Lena walked to the cave entrance and looked out at the swirling snow. My ship had emergency supplies. Food, medical equipment, tools. If we can reach it, we might be able to survive longer. The storm is too dangerous, Sareth said. We should wait. We do not have time to wait. Lena turned to face them. I can feel the collective patrol patterns through your memories, Valerix. They will return to check on you within 24 hours. They always do. If they find you gone and me here, they will kill all of us. Then we need to run, Sareth said. Get as far from this place as possible. Run where? Valerix gestured at his broken wing. I cannot fly. You cannot fly. Lena cannot survive long in this cold even with the healing. We have no supplies and no shelter except this cave. Lena was quiet for a moment, thinking. Then her eyes lit up. The communication relay. There is a collective relay station 40 kilometers north of here. If we can reach it and send a signal, maybe someone will come. A collective relay will only bring more collective soldiers, Sareth pointed out. Not if we hack it. I am a scientist, but I know basic programming. If I can access the relay, I can send a message to non-collective channels. Free human colonies, dragon resistance groups, anyone who might help. Valerix felt hope stirring inside him for the first time in weeks. It was a desperate plan. Probably suicide. But it was better than waiting here to die. 40 kilometers in a blizzard with no supplies, he said. We will never make it. Lena smiled, and through the bond he felt her determination burning bright. You told me dragon scales are nearly indestructible. We can use pieces from the chains that held you as tools. We can melt ice for water. And we have each other. 3 is better than 1. Sareth made a rumbling sound that might have been a laugh. The human is right. Together we have a chance. Alone we have none. Valerix looked at both of them. A human who had sacrificed everything to help strangers. A dragon who had been cast out for refusing to kill innocents. And himself a father desperate to see his family again. Then we go north, he said. And we do not stop until we reach that relay or die trying. Outside, the storm howled. But inside the cave, 3 unlikely allies prepared to face impossible odds together. The journey north began at dawn when the storm finally weakened. Lena led the way, using a piece of chain as a walking stick. Valerix limped beside her, his broken wing folded tight against his body. Sareth followed behind, the remaining chain around his neck leaving a trail in the snow. They walked through a landscape that seemed designed to kill them. Ice formations rose like crystal towers on all sides. The temperature never climbed above -90 degrees. Wind cut through the valleys between ice walls with enough force to knock Lena off her feet several times, but they kept moving. Lena felt Valorix's pain through their bond. Every step hurt him. His wounds had not healed despite his natural dragon resilience. He was starving, exhausted, and growing weaker by the hour, but he never complained. He just kept walking. After 3 hours, they reached a canyon carved through solid ice. The walls stretched up hundreds of feet on both sides. The path through was narrow and treacherous. "We have to go through," Lena said. "Going around would add days to our journey." Sareth peered into the canyon. "I do not like this. It is a perfect ambush point." "Everything on this moon is a perfect place to die," Valorix muttered. "We go through." They entered the canyon in single file. The ice walls blocked the wind, which should have been a relief. But the silence felt wrong, oppressive. Lena's footsteps echoed strangely. Halfway through, she saw them. Bodies frozen in the ice walls. Dozens of them. Maybe hundreds. Different species. Some were humanoid. Others were insectoid or reptilian. All trapped in ice, preserved forever. "These are the collective's other prisoners," Sareth said quietly. "The ones who did not survive." Lena stopped in front of one body. It was a female of a species she recognized. Tall, blue-skinned, 4 arms, a Threnite diplomat. Lena had read about her. She had disappeared 3 years ago while negotiating a peace treaty. "They killed her and froze her here as a warning," Lena said. "All of these people. They were threats to the collective. Scientists, leaders, peace advocates, anyone who might unite other species against them." "Then why keep us alive?" Valorix asked. "Because dragons know the locations of hidden refugee settlements. The collective wanted that information." Lena touched the ice wall gently. "These people had nothing left to give." "You still did." They continued walking. The bodies in the walls seemed to watch them pass. Lena felt anger building inside her. Not just her own anger, but Valorix's too, flowing through their bond. The collective had done this. They had turned this moon into a mass grave. At the end of the canyon, they heard a sound. A mechanical whine. Valorix grabbed Lena and pulled her behind an ice formation. Sareth pressed himself flat against the canyon wall. A drone flew overhead, small, fast, equipped with scanning equipment. It circled the area twice before flying off to the east. "Patrol drone," Sareth whispered. "They are looking for us. Then they know we escaped." Lena's mind raced. "We need to move faster. If they send ground troops, we are finished." "I cannot move faster," Valorix admitted. "My strength is almost gone." Lena looked at him through the bond. She could feel how close to collapse he was. She made a decision. "Give me your memories of the terrain ahead. Everything you saw when the collective brought you to this moon. What good will that do? Trust me. Open your mind." Valorix hesitated, then relaxed. Memories flowed through the bond. Lena saw through his eyes as the collective ship had flown over this moon. She saw the relay station in the distance. She saw landing pads, storage facilities, a network of roads carved through the ice, and she saw something else. A maintenance tunnel, small meant for robots and small workers. It ran underground from a service station 15 kilometers away, straight to the relay compound. The collective had built it to move supplies during storms. "There is a tunnel," Lena said excitedly. "We can use it to get close to the relay without being seen." "That tunnel is for maintenance robots," Valorix said. "We are too big. You are too big. But I am not. If I can reach the relay through the tunnel, I can hack it from inside. You two create a distraction to draw the guards away." "Absolutely not," Valorix growled. "We are not splitting up. That tunnel could collapse. You could get lost. You could run into collective workers. Or I could succeed." Lena met his eyes. "This is our best chance. Maybe our only chance." Sareth moved closer. "The human is right. If all 3 of us attack the relay together, we die. If one of us gets inside while the other 2 distract the guards, we might actually survive." Valorix wanted to argue. Lena felt his reluctance through the bond. But she also felt his acceptance. He knew she was right. "Fine," he said. "But we stay together until we reach the service station." No unnecessary risks. They walked for hours. Lena's legs burned with exhaustion. Valorix stumbled several times. Sareth's chain kept catching on ice formations, forcing him to stop and free it. The sun never appeared. The sky remained a dark gray filled with clouds. When they finally saw the service station, Lena's heart sank. It was destroyed. The building had been bombed into rubble. Only one wall remained standing. The collective must have abandoned this area, Sareth said. They destroyed everything when they left. The tunnel might still be intact. Lena climbed over rubble and found what she was looking for. A hatch set into the ground. She pulled it open. Darkness below, but also warmth. The tunnel was heated to prevent ice buildup. It is still active, she said. The power is still on. Valerix looked down into the tunnel. It is too small for us. You will be alone down there. I know. Lena checked her equipment. She still had her scanner, her translation device, and a small emergency light. I will move as fast as I can. Give me 2 hours to reach the relay. Then start your distraction. What if something goes wrong? Valerix's voice was strained. Then you two run. Get as far away as you can. Do not wait for me. We are not leaving you. Valerix. Lena put her hand on his scaled snout. Through the bond, she pushed feelings of gratitude, affection, trust. You have a family waiting for you. Children who need their father. If this goes wrong, you have to survive. Promise me. He closed his eyes. I promise. But only if you promise to survive too. Deal. Lena turned to Sareth. Thank you. For blocking the wind in the cave. For keeping watch. For being brave even though you were afraid. Sareth dipped his head. Thank you for seeing us as people, not monsters. For proving that humans and dragons can be allies. Lena climbed down into the tunnel. The hatch closed above her. She was alone in the darkness with only her small light to guide her. The tunnel stretched ahead, narrow and claustrophobic. She started walking. The tunnel was exactly what she had seen in Valerix's memory. Smooth ice walls reinforced with metal supports. Warm air flowing from vents. Every few hundred feet there were junction points where smaller tunnels branched off. Lena walked for an hour without incident. Then she heard voices ahead. She quickly switched off her light and pressed herself against the tunnel wall. 2 collective workers appeared, both wearing environment suits. They walked past without seeing her in the darkness. Her heart pounded. She waited until their footsteps faded, then continued forward. The tunnel began to slope upward. She was getting close to the relay station. Finally, she saw light ahead. The tunnel ended at another hatch. She climbed up carefully and peered through a small window. She could see the relay station on the other side. Banks of computers, communication arrays, data processors, and only 3 guards visible. She checked her timepiece. 2 hours had passed exactly. Valerix and Sareth would be starting their distraction any moment now. She waited. Then alarms started blaring. She heard shouts. The 3 guards ran out of the relay room, heading toward the exterior doors. Something was happening outside. The distraction had begun. Lena opened the hatch and climbed out. She was inside the relay station, alone. She ran to the main computer terminal and pulled out her scanner. Time to send a message that would change everything. Outside the relay station, Valerix roared loud enough to shake ice from the nearby formations. He had not made a sound like that in weeks. It felt good. It felt like being alive again. Collective soldiers poured out of the buildings. 12 of them, all carrying freeze weapons designed specifically to immobilize dragons. They formed a defensive line and aimed at him. Surrender immediately, the lead soldier commanded. You are escaped prisoners. Resistance will result in termination. Valerix's response was a blast of fire. Weak and thin, but enough to make them scatter. Sareth charged from the right, his chain whipping behind him. He caught 2 soldiers with his tail, sending them flying into a snowbank. The soldiers opened fire. Blue energy beams struck Valerix in the chest and legs. Cold spread through his body, slowing his movements. He felt his scales beginning to freeze. But he kept fighting. He had to give Lena enough time. More soldiers appeared. Valerix counted 20 now, too many. Even if he and Sareth were healthy and uninjured, 20 armed collective soldiers would be difficult. In their current state, it was suicide, but they fought anyway. Sareth used his bulk as a weapon, smashing through barriers and equipment. The chain around his neck became a flail, striking anything that came close. Freeze beams hit him repeatedly, but he kept moving through sheer determination. Valerix felt the connection to Lena through their bond. She was inside. She was working. He just needed to buy her more time. He lunged at a group of soldiers, his claws extended. They dodged and fired again. His right foreleg locked up completely, frozen solid. Fall back to defensive positions, someone shouted. Call for air support, air support. That would be the end. Bombers would reduce them to frozen corpses in minutes. Valerix looked at Sereth. The golden dragon was covered in frost, barely able to move. They had done everything they could. Then the relay station exploded. Not literally, but every speaker, every screen, every communication device suddenly activated at once. Lena's voice echoed across the compound. "This is Dr. Lena Frost, xenobiologist, formerly of Research Station 7. I am broadcasting on all frequencies. The collective has been lying to you. They have been lying to everyone. Dragons are not mindless beasts. They are intelligent, peaceful beings with families and culture and art. The collective has been exterminating them to take their worlds. I have proof. I have recordings. I have testimony. And I am sharing it all now." The soldiers stopped shooting. They stared at the speakers in confusion. Lena's broadcast continued. "I am currently in a collective relay station on Ice Moon 7. With me are 2 dragons who were prisoners here. Valorix and Sereth. They were tortured for refusing to betray their people. They were left to die in chains. But they survived, and they showed me that dragons and humans can be allies instead of enemies." Images appeared on every screen, recordings from Valorix's memories, shared through the blood bond. His homeworld before the collective came. Dragon families living in peace, cities built into mountains, beautiful and ancient. Then the collective arrived. The destruction, the slaughter. Children fleeing underground while their parents fought and died above. The soldiers lowered their weapons slightly, staring at the screens. They had never seen anything like this before. "The collective tells you that you are protecting humanity," Lena said. "But you are not. You are helping them commit genocide against innocent species. Dragons, Threnai, Kothar, dozens of races, all destroyed or enslaved because they stood in the way of collective expansion. I am sending this message to every frequency I can reach. Human colonies. Dragon resistance. Anyone who will listen. The truth is out now. The lies are over." Alarms started blaring. Different alarms. Command was trying to shut down the broadcast, but Lena had locked them out of their own system. The message kept playing. It spread to communication satellites, to ships passing through the system, to colonies light years away. One of the soldiers spoke. "Is this true? What we are seeing?" The lead soldier's face was hard. "It is collective propaganda. Lies meant to turn us against our superiors. Ignore it and resume firing," but the other soldiers hesitated. They were looking at the screens, at dragon families, at children playing, at art and music and life. These did not look like monsters. They looked like people. Valerix felt something shift, not just with the soldiers, but through his bond with Lena. She was in danger. Real danger. Inside the relay station, Lena worked frantically. She had broken through the first layers of security and sent her broadcast, but now the system was fighting back. Automated defenses were activating. Doors were locking, and she could hear footsteps running toward her position. She sent everything she had, every file, every recording, every piece of evidence she had collected about collective atrocities. She uploaded Valorix's memories directly from her own mind through the blood bond. Anyone watching would see exactly what the collective had done. The door exploded inward. A collective officer stood there with 10 soldiers behind him. All had weapons aimed at her. "Step away from the terminal," the officer commanded. "No." Lena kept typing. Upload progress showed 93%. "So close. The truth is already out. You cannot stop it. We can stop you," the officer gestured. 2 soldiers grabbed Lena and dragged her away from the terminal. Another soldier began shutting down the upload. 95%. 96%. The soldier at the terminal typed commands rapidly. The upload slowed. 97%. It stopped. "Delete everything she sent," the officer ordered. "Trace the signals and destroy any ships that received the data." "You cannot delete truth," Lena said. "It is already spreading. By now, thousands of people have seen what you really are." The officer struck her across the face. "You are a traitor to humanity. You sided with dragons over your own species. I sided with innocents over murderers." Blood ran from Lena's split lip. There is a difference. Outside, Valerix felt Lena's pain through the bond. They had her. They were hurting her. Something inside him snapped. He stopped thinking about his wounds or his exhaustion. He thought only about the human who had saved him, the human who had become his bond sister. He roared again, louder than before. This time his fire came stronger. His inner flame, nearly dead, suddenly blazed bright. He did not understand why or how. Maybe it was the bond. Maybe it was determination. Maybe it was love. He charged the relay station. Soldiers tried to stop him, but he smashed through them. Sareth followed, matching his fury. They hit the building's wall together and it collapsed. Ice and metal rained down. Valerix burst through the rubble and into the communications room. He saw Lena being held by soldiers. He saw the officer with his weapon raised to strike her again. He saw red. The officer turned, eyes wide. Impossible. You should be frozen. Nothing about this is possible, Valerix growled. Yet here we are. He lunged forward. The soldiers dropped Lena and tried to shoot him. Their weapons fired, but he barely felt the cold now. His rage kept him warm. He grabbed the officer with one claw and the terminal with the other. The officer screamed. The terminal sparked and shattered. Sareth entered the building behind him. Lena, run! But Lena did not run. She rolled toward a backup console and started typing one-handed. I need 30 seconds. Just give me 30 seconds. You have it. Valerix placed himself between her and the soldiers. Sareth did the same. They formed a wall of scales and teeth and determination. The soldiers fired everything they had. Freeze beams, explosive rounds, energy weapons. Valerix felt his body shutting down. Sareth collapsed next to him, frozen almost solid. They were dying, but they stayed standing, because behind them Lena was still typing. Done, she whispered. She hit one final key. Upload complete. Everything is out there now. Everyone will know. Valerix turned to look at her. Through the bond, he felt her triumph, her exhaustion, and her fear. Did we do it? Yes. She smiled despite the blood on her face. We did it. The truth is spreading. The collective cannot stop it now. Good. Valerix's legs finally gave out. He crashed to the floor. Sareth was already down, unconscious. Tell my family I fought well. Tell them I died free. You are not dying. Lena dragged herself toward him. I did not come all this way to lose you now. But Valerix could feel his flame going out. This time there would be no rekindling it. He had used everything he had left. He looked at Lena one last time, grateful that his last sight would be a friend. Then the sky above the ruined building lit up with fire. Dragons fell from the sky like shooting stars, dozens of them, diving through the atmosphere with wings spread wide and fire trailing behind them. They were larger than Valerix, older, marked with battle scars and clan symbols. A full war flight behind them came ships, not collective vessels but independent human colony craft. Mining haulers, trade ships, even pleasure cruisers, all armed, all broadcasting the same message. We received the transmission. We are here to help. The collective soldiers outside the relay station tried to fight. They lasted 40 seconds. Dragonfire turned their weapons to slag. Human ships provided covering fire, destroying collective equipment and vehicles. It was not a battle. It was a rescue. A massive red dragon, even bigger than Valerix, landed next to the ruined communications building. She moved with desperate speed, her eyes scanning the rubble. When she saw Valerix lying motionless on the ground, she made a sound like a dying star. No, no, please no. She pushed aside debris and reached for him with shaking claws. Valerix, my love. Wake up. Valerix's eyes cracked open. For a moment, he thought he was dreaming. Rena, how are you here? Your bond sister sent a message. It reached us. The whole dragon fleet received it. We came as fast as we could. Rena's voice broke. I thought I had lost you. I thought you were dead. Almost was. Valerix tried to sit up and failed. The children? Safe, they are on the command ship. Rena gently touched her snout to his. They will be so happy to see you. Another dragon, this one golden like Sareth, approached. He looked at Sareth's frozen body and roared in grief. My brother, what have they done to you? He lives, Lena said, limping over, barely. He needs medical treatment immediately. Both of them do. The golden dragon turned to her. You are the human from the message, the one who freed them. I am Lena. And yes, I freed them. She swayed on her feet, or tried to. We almost did not make it. You did more than try. The golden dragon lowered himself so he was at eye level with her. I am Rendell, war commander of the Eastern clans. My brother told me once about a human who did not deserve to die. He was exiled for refusing to kill you. Now I understand why. Lena looked at Sareth's unconscious form. He told you about me? Not you specifically, but a human settlement his clan was ordered to destroy. He saw children there, families. He saw people protecting each other. He refused the order. Our father cast him out as a coward. Rendell's voice was thick with shame. I did not defend him. I believed our father was right. I was wrong. More dragons landed. Medical teams rushed forward with equipment. They began treating Valorix and Sareth immediately, spraying healing compounds on their wounds and wrapping them in thermal blankets designed to restore dragon body heat. A human woman approached Lena. She wore the uniform of a colony defense force. Dr. Frost, I am Commander Willis from the New Terra Alliance. Your broadcast reached us 6 hours ago. It has spread to 40 systems now. Everyone is seeing it. The collective is trying to deny everything, but the evidence is overwhelming. Good. Lena accepted a medical kit from one of Willis's soldiers and began treating her own injuries. How many ships came? 17 from various human colonies. 23 dragon vessels. More are on the way. This is the largest joint operation between our species in over a century. Willis smiled. You started a revolution, Doctor. I just told the truth. Lena looked at Valorix and Sareth being loaded onto medical transports. They are the heroes. They survived everything the collective threw at them and still had the strength to fight. Rena approached Lena carefully. Up close, she was enormous, easily twice Valorix's size. But her eyes were kind. You saved my mate. You gave him your own survival in exchange for his life. I have no words to express my gratitude. He saved me too, Lena said. With his blood. We are bonded now. I can feel him even from here. I know. He showed me the memory through our mating bond. Rena extended one claw very gently. That makes you family. You will always have a place among our clan. Always. Lena shook the massive claw carefully. Thank you. That means more than you know. The evacuation took 3 hours. Every collective soldier was captured and secured. Every piece of equipment was documented as evidence. The bodies frozen in the canyon walls were recovered and identified. It was grim work, but necessary. The galaxy needed to see exactly what the collective had done. Lena stood on the landing platform of a dragon warship as they prepared to depart. She looked down at the ice moon where she had crashed, where she had found 2 dying dragons, where everything had changed. It looked so small from up here, so insignificant, but it had been the most important place in the galaxy for one brief moment. Valorix limped up beside her, supported by medical braces. He was still weak but healing. You should be resting, he said through the bond. They could communicate silently now, mind to mind. So should you, Lena replied the same way. But here we are. Here we are. He looked at the moon below. What happens now? Now the real work begins. Building trust between species, creating real alliances, making sure what happened to you never happens again. Lena glanced at him. It will not be easy. Nothing worthwhile ever is. Valorix flexed his wing carefully. The medical team said it would heal completely given time. Will you stay with us? With my clan? You are family now. You could live on our homeworld. I will visit often, but my place is with the human colonies, helping them understand that dragons are not the enemy, being a bridge between our peoples. She smiled. Besides, someone needs to make sure the politicians do not mess this up. A wise decision. Politicians of all species are remarkably skilled at messing things up. They stood in comfortable silence for a while. Then Lena spoke aloud. Thank you for trusting me, for letting me help even though you had no reason to believe I would succeed. Thank you for seeing us, not as monsters or weapons or obstacles, but as people. Valorix touched his snout to her shoulder gently. You changed everything, Lena Frost. Not just for me and Sareth, but for everyone. Sareth appeared, walking slowly but steadily. His neck was finally free of the chain. Healers had cut it off during treatment. Are you two having a moment? Should I leave? No, Lena said, smiling. Get over here. The 3 of them stood together looking at the stars. A human, and 2 dragons who had been strangers and enemies, now bound by experience and blood into something stronger than any of them had been alone. What will you do now? Lena asked Sareth. Rendell offered me a position in his clan, war commander for diplomatic relations. Apparently refusing to kill innocents is now seen as a virtue instead of cowardice. Sareth's voice was dry. Times change. They do, Valorix agreed. Because people like you had the courage to be different. Down on the planet below, collective forces were being pushed back system-wide. The broadcast had reached everywhere. Protests erupted on collective-controlled worlds. Soldiers were laying down weapons and refusing orders. The lies were crumbling. It would take years to fix everything. Maybe decades. The collective would not give up power easily. There would be more fighting, more death, more suffering. But for the first time in a century, there was hope. Real hope. Different species working together instead of being manipulated into fighting each other. And it had started with one human choosing compassion over survival. One human who saw 2 chained dragons dying in the snow and decided to help them. 3 months later, on a neutral station orbiting a peaceful world, representatives from 17 species gathered for a historic summit. The first interspecies alliance meeting in over 100 years. Dragons and humans sat side by side at the negotiation tables. Other species joined them. Everyone was cautious, careful, but hopeful. Lena stood at the main podium addressing the assembly. She spoke about cooperation, about shared goals, about building trust. She was a better speaker than she had expected. The words came easily because they were true. Valorix and Sereth stood behind her as honor guards, not because she needed protection, but because they wanted to show unity, a human and 2 dragons together, a symbol of what was possible. When the first treaty was signed, establishing mutual defense agreements and trade partnerships, the room erupted in cautious celebration. It was just a beginning, the smallest step on a very long road, but it was a step forward. That night, Lena stood on an observation deck looking at the stars. She thought about the chain of events that had brought her here. Her research station being destroyed, her desperate flight into collective space, the crash on that frozen moon. She thought about 2 figures chained in the snow. She had almost kept walking that day, almost decided to conserve her power and wait for rescue that would never come. But something had made her stop. Some instinct that said these creatures needed help. That one choice had changed everything. Valorix joined her at the window. His wing was fully healed now. His wounds were just scars. "Your thoughts are loud tonight, Bond Sister." "Just remembering," Lena said. "Wondering what would have happened if I had made different choices. But you did not. You chose compassion. You chose to help." He looked at the stars with her. "Sereth and I were supposed to die on that moon. We had accepted it. Then you appeared like something from a legend, a figure in the snow who refused to let us give up. I am no legend, just a scientist who got lucky. Luck had nothing to do with it. You were brave. You were kind. You saw beings suffering and you helped them even though it cost you everything." Valorix's voice was warm. "That is not luck. That is heroism." Lena did not feel like a hero. She felt like someone who had made the only choice her conscience allowed. But if that made her a hero in Valorix's eyes, she could accept it. "What do you think comes next?" she asked. "More work. More challenges. Some species will not want peace. Some will fight against change." Valorix was quiet for a moment. "But we will face it together. Humans and dragons and all the others who want something better. We will build something new, something that lasts. Something worth fighting for. Yes, something worth fighting for." They stood together in the starlight. 2 beings from different worlds bound by blood and choice. Behind them, through the station windows, representatives from across the galaxy continued their discussions. Building bridges, making compromises, creating hope. And somewhere in collective space, on a frozen moon where 2 dragons had once been chained to die, the ice continued to fall, but the chains were gone. The prisoners had been freed, and the truth could never be frozen again. The figure in the snow had changed everything, and the galaxy would never be the same.